Hi, and welcome back to Squire Syndrome podcast. I'm Ben Gilman. As always, I'm joined by, he's our stats man and Ben Bully number one. It's Tom Hill.
That's harsh, man.
The best storyteller and Ben Bully number two, Dan Rudge.
Fair.
And number three, if he keeps talking about wrestling this week, we're going to change the name of this podcast to Steroids Eye Syndrome. It's Ben Bully number three, Troy Salmon.
What's up? The tribal chief is in the building.
You've been infected by Dan. That's who I bring. Anyway, how are you knuckleheads doing?
Yeah, he calls us bullies of him and immediately calls us knuckleheads.
No.
Right in this, bro.
Hey.
No, I'm joking. How are
Ben,
you?
as a tribal chief, I'm the one who does the name calling around here. You understand?
We haven't done the proper introduction for our esteemed host, the philanthropic and philosophical, fashionista but not quite fascistic dictator for life, Ben Gilman.
Oh yeah. Oh yes. That's a great one.
You make me sound like Almond River, mate. Don't do that. Right, no. How is everyone anyway? How are things?
I'm doing good, a bit tired, but a little bit of a headache. But I'm powering through it for you guys. I'm powering through it for the people out there watching this video.
So, I'm wearing new glasses. I've had headaches for the last couple of weeks, and I realised I need to change my glasses. So now I'm wearing new glasses. My eyes are nice and happy and relaxed.
Oh yeah.
Cool.
Yeah. Apparently, I now look like a specky twat according to my brother because it's really posh nerdy glasses.
Damn.
Cheers, bro. I know you listen to this, you little fucker.
Wait.
All right. So, who's going first this week?
I will go first this week, my people.
You sound like a Russian Bond villain.
Oh yes, I do. Yes.
Stop touching yourself, right? Go and get on with
I
it.
thought you were doing your geisha impression.
Oh my gosh, what have I stepped into?
We are
You
off.
are trained in the art of conversation.
I knew that was going to go on that. I knew it. It's a conversation. It sounds like something Dracula at the same time. It's like that.
I'm from Romania.
I don't know why my geisha is also Dracula. But...
Exactly, it sounded Dracula.
It's okay. Romanians can be geishas too. There's no set rule.
That Romanian voice is so sexy. But anyways, that's another story. We're going to get into this, yo. We're going to get to this, my peoples. So, we're going to kick this off with a new pick. It's kind of a new pick. So, I watched this. I literally binged it with the fam. And I loved every second of it. It's called, you guys probably know it, or you may have even seen it, Amazon Prime's Truth Seekers. So, any of you guys heard of it? Or seen even trailers of it?
No, I haven't.
What? For real? Haven't you?
No.
I think I've seen a picture.
Oh my gosh, okay. Nick Frost.
What am I? I've seen nothing.
Oh my god, this is you're gonna be in for a
You
treat.
have the floor, Troy.
You're gonna be in with a treat. Okay. So Truth Seekers, so it's created by Nick Frost and Simon Pegg, two legends of the English
Sci-fi comedy.
Oh,
I've seen interviews with this. Okay, I know where you're coming from.
British comedy horror. Okay. So like a web series. Amazon Prime has backed it. Even Sony's kind of helping distribute it as well. So it's got a big backing behind it. It's solid. Even the effects, I'm like, yo, the effects are quite solid. But let's get into this. Nick Frost, Simon Pegg, James Sierfronowitz, and Nat Saunders. So they're the people who created the actual show altogether. But it was directed by Jim Field and just starred Nick Frost and Simon Pegg, because Simon Pegg kind of takes a little bit of a backseat in the show until that towards the very end, because you kind of see me like, why is Simon Pegg doing more? But then you kind of see it towards the end of where it's going. So, but before we go there, let's just start this off. So it's an 8-episode season, by the way. So it's kind of like a mini almost slash season, almost, but it's really good, solid. And it talks about, actually, he brings up a great point about, it talks about the 5G kind of thing. So it's about 6G. So they're running 6G in this world right now. And basically Nick Frost, he's like the broadband guy. He goes around trying to find everyone's Wi-Fi, tries to fix it. But at the same time, he's like a ghost hunter. He does his own YouTube channel, like more and yourselves. So He has his own YouTube channel trying to find these specters in these haunted, abandoned houses. And at the same time, he's got his job of literally just fixing Wi-Fi, putting 6G in houses. And he goes around to these remote places and try and put 6G in these houses where they're haunted and they don't really work anymore. So that's kind of like the primary premise of the show. But at the same time, there's other characters who join the show. Like there's a new guy who joins. He's called a new partner called Elton John. That's his name. He goes because Nick goes, okay, what's your name? He goes, Elton. And so what's your last name? John. He was like, no, that can't be your real name. So he goes, yeah, it is. Here's my real name.
It's a shame it's not the real Elton John. You know, if you've seen the second Kingsman, you know he's a riot. Oh, that's a shame.
So he's like his best friend, but as you see throughout the show, he's got certain abilities. He's like a medium in a way. He can unlock certain ghostly realms and basically shut down certain doors or summon certain spirits. But at the same time, he's got little powers here and there.
Hang on, did you just say Nick Frost was a medium?
No, not Nick Frost. He's his friend, his new partner on the actual 6G run in his broadband business.
Okay, just as well, because he strikes me as
No, not him. If he had powers, I'll be like, what is Nick Frost doing? What is going on? But it's this guy called Samson Kayo. He plays him, Elton John. He's a great actor. This guy, young guy, really good. And everyone knows about Nick Frost. Not everyone knows how good Nick Frost is. Yeah. The one and a half of the ultimate duo with him and Simon Pegg, and Simon Pegg is basically playing the boss called Dave.
Oh, so he does have a little bit of a role then.
Yeah, so he's the boss. You see him from time to time. He goes in the office and goes, "Well done, guys. You set up a new 6G in this certain area. Well done." Give him a pat on the back a little times, and he goes. At the same time, he's getting stalked by this random guy. We don't know who it is until towards the end of the season. He's getting stalked by people getting random pictures sent to him of people watching him saying, "We see you." And he's saying, Bjorn, can you fix this for me throughout the whole show? It's just funny. It's the most random thing, but it's just funny, isn't it? Because he's going to get this guy called Bjorn trying to help him fix his phone and internet connection. It's like, what are you talking about? Why are you running 6G? And literally nothing works. But at the same time, apparently he has 8G in the back stored up. I don't know how are these Wi-Fi's basically working like this. I don't know if it's 6G, 7G, 8G. I don't know what. They're taking the mick out of 5G. But apparently he's got 6G. And I don't want to spoil it because this is a massive spoiler. I don't want to say anything else because I don't want to say too much because it's amazing. So, Elton John, his sister is basically an agoraphobic. Yeah, so she can't go anywhere unless she gets a little bit of help or she's saying, okay, can you get this for me from the shops? Because everyone knows about agoraphobia, so they can't leave the house.
Can I ask you, is she a fat black woman?
Yes. Well, not fat.
No, hold on. What I'm saying is, I've noticed she's in a lot of things recently that I've been watching.
Yes.
I don't know her name. She's got
I know what you mean.
Fleabag. She's been in Fleabag. Other things.
She's been in a lot.
Big shout out to her. I will find out.
Yeah, she's really good. She's really good. She's coming up. She's coming up though. She's coming up very slowly and steadily. She's coming up. Yeah. But yeah, she plays the sister, and she's kind of like the left behind, kind of in the background type sister. She's like, the brother you've always been more favored. My family left behind. She's like,
Susan Wokoma.
Thank you, Dan.
Yes. Susan Wokoma. There we go. So I don't remember her name because I was looking at her, I was like, that name Susan Wokoma. Yes, that's her name. Okay, so we have the main villain of the show. Well, not the main villain, but the villain throughout the season, Julian Barrett, who plays Peter Toynbee. So he's like this kind of cultist. He's kind of madman, sort of like a Lex Luthor type villain. The master plan type of thing, He's trying to create a portal, trying to be immortal. So that's the goal of his premise in the show. He's trying to be immortal. That's the whole premise of the show. He's the main villain. And he's trying to kill all these people, do a mass murder, mass suicide type of thing to try and gain this power. So a lot of stuff going on. In the show. It's amazing. If you're into that kind of sci-fi / supernatural ghost stuff like that, in a way, it almost reminds me of Being Human a little bit in terms of like the humor and the way it's shot in certain places. But it's really good. If you haven't seen this, watch the trailer. Trust me, it's amazing. This show is really good. Get there, watch it. Amazon Prime. Bow. So that's Seekers. There you go. So check it out.
All right.
There you go. Really good, really good. Okay, so yeah, check it out. True Stickers, literally, that's probably the best thing to watch, right? So next up, it's gonna be something different. Okay. So it's a YouTube show. Something a little bit different for y'all. It's called Jody's Corner. I don't know if you guys have heard of him.
Who?
Guys, yeah, it's a guy called Jody. Yeah. And he has this live setup where he talks about all these kind of topics. So it's called Jody's Corner. If anyone go on YouTube, youtube.com, it's called Jody's Corner. That's his YouTube handle. So this is a little bit different. I don't know if you guys have heard of him. Have you heard of Jody?
No.
No.
Please explain.
Okay. So he's basically a YouTuber that's been around for a while now. He's basically one of the guys who's literally pushed Wonder Woman into the stratosphere. Literally, he's been supporting. Have you seen his reactions? He's crying all the time. He's like, oh my God, Wonder Woman. She's going to save the DCEU. She's going to save us. So basically, literally, he was one who's pushing for the new DC direction that you see today. Wonder Woman, Aquaman, and not so much the Snyderverse, which has literally been set in the past. Are you guys a fan of the Snyderverse or the new direction of DC? What do you guys think about it?
I don't watch superhero films anymore, so I can't comment.
I think
It's the DC universe because it was doing so poorly. I do
Exactly.
enjoyed Aquaman,
Yeah.
but other than that, DC universe has not impressed me as of.
Is that the one with the Roman Reigns lookalike guy?
Jason Momoa?
Everyone always says that.
If he was to come out SmackDown tomorrow, no one would know the difference.
Oh my gosh, really? Okay.
That's Jason Momoa. He's a very good actor.
Yeah,
He's
he's really
Game
good.
of Thrones.
Yeah.
He is.
But yeah, so Jody, he has his group. He calls himself the Just Us League. So him and his friends, basically joined him on the show. Yes, of course, yeah, the Just Us League. So they have their own names. So Jody is Superman, he's Superman. Some of them don't have their own names. They're kind of like affiliates, but they got the code. You got E, who calls himself Green Arrow. He calls himself that. I have a Batman in that, but they kind of like disbanded because we need certain YouTubers to get together, but they can't disband, but they're kind of part of the same league. But Jody, he's the main guy. He set up all these next kind of red carpets. He's promoting Wonder Woman. He's like the number one Wonder Woman guy. But Jody's Corner, he has so much topics in there, and he does game stuff in there as well, similar to What Culture and stuff like that. Similar to that. He's amazing. He's amazing. But if you haven't checked him out, check him out because he does stuff on Mondays and Fridays on YouTube. If you watch his stuff, he's got adult content as well. It's similar to, in a way, like what we do, but in a different way because I was more of a podcast format. But he's more of a straight articles, breaking them down, adult stuff, watching reactions.
Discussion channel.
Discussion channel. But time to time, he does a few reactions here and there, movies and stuff like that. Because he's not really a horror guy like me, but he's kind of scared of the horror stuff. Don't do the demonic stuff. So it's kind of like lighthearted that way as well. So that's another one right there that I watched. Jody's Corner Live is called JCL. I think it's on 130 something right now. 38. Yeah, 138 right now. So that's the latest one that just came out. So if you haven't checked out Jody, check him out. Jody's Corner Live. Great channel. Great discussions. Do it. Okay, so that's the second one I got right now. So what one right now? What's my time? My time decent right now? What time looking like, Ben? Okay, so a few minutes.
Yeah,
okay.
Wow. Doing okay.
Okay, so I'm gonna do like a quick catch up right now, just to round it out. I don't want to go on too long.
Yeah.
So I have to go do a quick catch up right now. So SmackDown, there we go. SmackDown.
Okay, that's the time. I'm sorry, that's all the time we have for you. We're gonna have to move on.
For once, I agree with Dan, bro. If you want a wrestling podcast, you can give me podcast right.
No, guys. Let's be fair. Troy will hear you out, then we'll throw you out.
No.
Literally though. I was gonna say, Roman Reigns is just getting better and better on the mic, man. I see the passion in his eyes.
It's
I'm
kind of
like,
ironic, isn't it? They've given him the best mic worker in the business to work with him, and
I
something
know.
good
You
on
see
the
the
mic.
interview on Jay Uso? He was like, "I'm the one who makes the match around here." I was like, "Yo,
Best champion, I agree.
I love it. He's amazing right now." But yeah, that's just my little 2 cents. I'm done.
He has had a whole pile of ideas that he hasn't been able to use for a long time.
Exactly.
Anyway, Dan,
Yeah,
you're
Not-
thank you, Troy.
Right,
You're on,
so
Dan.
I'm going to start off with a bit of a catch up as well,
Okay.
just on a couple of things. I mentioned, I don't know how many weeks ago, that I'd started watching that anime Black Clover.
Oh yes.
I've continued watching it since then, and I thought I'd give a bit of an update on my opinions on it. What I'd heard initially was that the annoying part of the anime would die down a bit.
What when he goes, ah!
Basically, yeah. He's always shouting about
He's always
Hades.
shouting every 5 minutes.
The main character, Asta, for those who don't know, his name is Asta. In a world of people who all have magic, he has absolutely none. And he ends up getting the power of anti-magic through a demon sword. Which is, you have to watch it to make more sense of it than I'm going to give you right now, because I'm doing a couple of catch-up things.
Yeah.
What I found from that is that it's not so much that he calms down, but that his attitude makes more and more sense as the story becomes more and more intense, insane, complex, and watchable.
Oh wow. Okay.
There is a significant point where it kind of just goes, we're going to sprint for a bit. Then they calm down a little bit, and then they sprint for a bit. And in those moments where they're sprinting, you kind of see exactly why he is how he is. And you see a long-term storyline driven out of his just incessant fucking 300% attitude thing, right? So, yeah, I kept watching it. It kept being good. If you're into anime, it's a good one to watch no matter what you're into.
It's a slow starter, but it's getting better.
Yeah, I'm gonna start watching stuff like that now. I'm gonna get back into my anime, so that's a good start. Good read.
And it's one of those series that gives rise, like, the fandom is all very much into the, if you were in this world, what sort of version of person would you be in this world? What would you prefer? And things like that. Which magic would you have? And all that kind of thing.
Yeah.
They're a really nice fandom as well. So they're inclusive. Get into it.
Cool. I will. Trust me. Black and Clover. Let's get watched.
I've also been watching, I think off the back of your recommendation, Troy, the new Baki.
Oh yes. Okay.
The Baki the Grappler one's on Netflix.
Baki the Grapper.
The remaking and the new series, and yeah, I have been really enjoying that. It's not for everyone though.
What's
No,
wrong?
It is very visceral.
Very, very.
It is, and there's a lot of violence, and it is like the injury detail is so strong they have to include a warning right at the beginning. It's really quite something, but it's fantastic. Really, really enjoying it. It's basically a bunch of fights with excuses for plot in between. But hey, again, if you like anime, this is the anime I've been watching recently. I'm not going to say very much about the documentary series that I've been watching recently, because I'm going to do a bit more of a single episode, go through them all soon.
Okay.
But suffice to say, I could not watch more than 5 minutes of American Murderer Next Door.
Wow.
I am sorry, that was just too uncomfortable to watch.
Easier.
And for some people, that might be enough of an endorsement that they go, "Oh, really?"
Exactly. Some people, yeah.
It definitely wasn't for me, but it's very gripping, and I've heard great things about it. So that's something.
Okay.
And that's pretty much the catching up done for
Yeah.
now. So I wanted to talk about another thing that's sort of a nostalgic. Hey, remember this? I absolutely loved this. And I went to research it to talk about it. And what I found was amazing
Okay.
for really, really weird reasons. So, what I'm talking about is the Jerry Anderson series Thunderbirds.
Oh. Haha. Yes.
Dun, dun, dun. Not the horrible CGI one that's come out recently.
Not Thunderbirds Are Go. That is all we're going to say about Thunderbirds Are Go, pretty much because I'm entirely ignorant on it. I have no idea what it's like. I'm not going to
the
shit.
original good one, the classic. Oh,
Thunderbirds.
oh no.
But the original Supermarionation
Yes.
Thunderbirds.
My childhood, their childhood. Ooh.
Yeah, growing up in the 90s, like, to me, this was the show to watch right then and there. Everyone had to watch it whenever I was a kid. If any of my friends hadn't watched it, it was like, oh, I'm so sorry. Wow, what happened? Right?
Yeah.
And it was going, and it was like, even on the reruns, we had to watch it. We all were just hooked on it. I didn't realize how much of reruns it was.
So much.
This is a show that was produced between 1964 and 1966.
Still holds up. It still holds up. Guaranteed.
I think it's because it is the puppetry, and the whole thing is built around that motion and that sort of that very stylized way of doing things. That means it just becomes quite timeless.
Yeah, it has to be that because you can watch it now and go back and be like, "Oh my days, it still looks so good."
Yeah, like it was basically, for anyone who hasn't seen it, if you think about like marionette puppets, things with strings attached to them that are being dangled down and moved around like that. It was kind of a bit like that, with a lot more electronics involved in the puppets and in the movement system for the puppets, which is why they called it Supermarionation.
Yeah.
And it was that, plus another thing which they used, which was a really creative use of scale model special effects.
Yes. There we
The
go.
detail in the sets is amazing for the time.
It was incredible. Everything they did was a labor of love.
Perfection.
Absolutely every part of everything they did was something which, as a kid, I was like, I needed those toys.
I had them. I had tons of them.
Yeah, I got the whole lot of them in a way, not in the like die-cast models one,
Yeah.
but the ones that you put together and made yourself, but it came with the entire island and the launch system. Absolutely.
Which is your favorite Thunderbird then? That's obviously the question.
Don't make me choose.
Thunderbird 5 for the win for me.
Like I don't know. I'm probably gonna have to say 4.
Okay. Troy.
Um,
I'm such a flipping fan of them. I'm a. Okay. Don't make me choose. Okay. All right. Okay.
Sound like you got your finger caught in the door.
All right. Okay. I'm a submersion guy.
Okay.
So I'm picking that submarine.
Tom, what's your favorite Thunderbird?
4.
I'm a Stingray fan.
Stingray.
Okay.
So again, you'd probably pick 4 as well.
Yeah, probably.
But just again, for the people who don't know what we're talking about, the Thunderbirds themselves were pilots. They were the sons of a widower, an American ex-astronaut called Jeff Tracy, who sets up a company called International Rescue off of his private island. And he works in International Rescue with a bunch of people, primarily his 5 adult sons, Scott, John, Virgil, Gordon, and Alan.
Yeah.
And they're basically founded to save human life. And they have really technologically advanced vehicles that are called into service when everything else goes to shit. And the most important of these are the Thunderbird machines. So the Thunderbirds themselves are the pilots. The Thunderbird machines are the things that they are specialized in piloting. Scott is specialized in piloting Thunderbird 1, which is blue and silver, like rocket plane.
Yep.
Fast response, disaster zone recon, that kind of thing. Thunderbird 2, which is piloted by Virgil, is a green sort of, basically it'll carry anything.
Yeah.
It's their go-to sort of heavy hauler, equipment bringer, whatever's needed.
Yeah, it's their tank. Yeah, basically.
And Virgil's just absolutely adept in using most of these, and most of the rest of them are able to come along and help and pilot things if they're needed in all the different things. And there was just an endless series of pods that Thunderbird 2 could carry. They came along on this conveyor belt, and they were brought up into the center of it, and it brilliant. Thunderbird 3 is a red rocket. It's just single stage to orbit spacecraft. Alan and John can both use it, and Scott's usually co-pilot. And Thunderbird 4 is submersible, a submarine, yellow, with Gordon at the helm, and that's usually used in tandem with Thunderbird 2. You do see it in one episode just launched from the island, but usually it's carried off somewhere by Thunderbird 2 and then used. And finally, Thunderbird 5, a grey and gold space station that orbits the planet and relays distress calls from around the world, usually piloted by John or Alan, who are the space experts of the family.
Yes.
Yeah, there's a bunch of other people included. Jeff's mother is on the island. Brains, the assistant, Brains.
Man, I love Brains.
Tintin,
Snarky.
Kirano, Lady Penelope Crichton Ward,
Yes, my lady.
Aloysius Parker.
Yes.
Yes, my lady.
Yes.
Their specially modified Rolls Royce, the Fab One.
Oh yes, epic.
And they usually face off against the master criminal known as the Hood, who operates from a temple in the Malaysian jungle, has backstory with Tintin and Tintin's father, and possesses powers of like hypnosis and dark magic and telepathy.
This guy's basically the Mandarin.
Yeah, he's
Basically, it was. Yeah.
there was a very much a trope that was kind of like that.
Yeah.
But not as massively racist.
Well, here's the thing: it was made in the 60s.
Exactly. Yeah.
So yes, it was massively racist.
Yeah. If you're a villain, though, that's what you got.
Here's the thing: if you want to go looking for problems in anything from that era, you're going to find them. And this thing was innocent as innocent could be.
Yeah.
Whatever it was guilty of, everything was guilty of at the time.
Mm.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I absolutely loved this show.
Love it.
Like, it was so cool. And the fact that it was all puppets just made it even cooler, because it was closer to, like, I could actually own something that looked exactly like the show.
Yes, flipping amazing.
You know what I mean? Because it was a real thing, and you could get models that were just these smaller scale versions of the puppets, and they just looked like them. And it was easy to do that even in the 90s. It wasn't like, do you remember the wrestling figures in the 90s?
Yeah.
The things where you had the thing on the back that you held down to make Coco Beware pop off the top rope.
Oh man, I love it. Had those with the Power Ranger toys, I all them. Everything. Captain Scarlet. Stingray, everything. I had everything, man.
Yeah, I loved all of this stuff, all of the Anderson Productions things. Captain Scarlet, Stingray were both absolutely great. And yeah, just honestly, check it out if you haven't seen it. It's like one of those things that everyone should have a chance to see. And that's what I wanted to talk about today.
Thunderbirds. Go.
Keeping it short and sweet, but
Dun, 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 dun.
filmed in Technicolor.
Yeah. Oh.
Supermarionation.
Now I want to change my pick so I can talk about Captain Scarlet and Joe 90, but I won't.
Captain Scarlet is the one.
Oh, Joe 90. That was the one I forgot.
Ah, well, we can always do it next week. No, next week is Black Mirror. The week after.
I remember. Did I talk about Captain Scarlet? I'm trying to remember now. I'm gonna go back for the archives now.
Captain Scarlet. Dun, dun, dun. Thank you, Dan.
To the Mr. Rons.
The enemies for Captain Scarlet, which were just the reflection of 2 CDs on the wall.
I am going to call you Mr. Nostalgia now. Podcast.
For the voice of the Mr. Rons.
That's what they've been called Mr. Charm, like Troy is.
Mr. Charm, the legend.
Nostalgia. Okay, Tom, you up, boy?
But what?
You up? You awake?
I'm awake, yeah.
Yeah, good.
Okay. So, going for 2 very different things this week.
Okay.
Now, in the good old days, Dan, before you joined our merry little troop,
Yeah.
I accused the other 2 people on this podcast, with a reasonable amount of justification, I feel, of being absolute Philistines. And that I would educate them and talk about things that were true quality, because they didn't know about stuff that was really good. Now, what I'm going to talk about today is one that I'm hoping all of you will know, and I'm going to have to say very little because you guys are going to jump in and take over from me. An absolute classic from the 1970s, Fawlty Towers.
Here we go.
What did you say? Sorry, I had an audio problem. What did you say?
Wonderful.
Fawlty Towers.
Oh, I can already see the branch and the car and the Nazi joke.
You can hear the music. You can hear all of it. You can see the stupidly misspelt names like flowery twats. You see all of those things.
We could be here for an hour talking about Fawlty Towers, Bob.
This is what I was going to say. I've particularly picked this so that everyone can talk about it. This is one of the greatest pieces of situation comedy that was ever created.
If there's one comedy that I would send to the rest of the world that this is what we do, it's this one. This is
right. And you know what? Even though it is extreme, it's fairly restrained for a John Cleese thing.
Yes.
But it's crazy in the moments where it needs to be crazy, but it's actually a very, very tight, very, very good comedy. Yes, there are things that would probably now be seen as a little bit dodgy institutionally, like the way he treats Manuel would probably not go down quite. You couldn't make the show now.
No.
You tried to pitch it, you'd be told, no, you're a racist, get out. But once again, you can't judge a 70s show by modern standards in that respect. It wasn't intended in that way. It was intended purely to have somebody who he was bossing around and who could say things in a stupid accent. That was basically the whole point of the Manuel character. But it's such a good show. It's the thing I love about it is that John Cleese, just after 12 episodes, the BBC tried to sign him on for another 2 series, and he turned around and said, I don't have enough good ideas to do another series. I'm not doing any. Can you imagine anyone turning that down these days?
Never.
Nope.
It doesn't matter how few ideas you've got going. You're offering me a 2nd, a 3rd, a 4th series? Yeah, I'll take them. Doesn't matter if the show then goes downhill. John Cleese went, no, I've written 12 episodes that are really good. Him and Connie Booth have between them written 12 brilliant episodes. They didn't have enough for a 3rd series, so they just said no. That's why it's held in such high regard, because there is no dead wood to the show.
And for that, we salute them for that.
Absolutely. But it's also one of the main reasons why this is regularly picked as the best comedy in the 100 best like TV shows things. Regularly, it beats out everything else.
Yeah.
It's got brilliant characters, and they play on basic comedy tropes of the nagging wife, the overstressed boss, who's actually a freaking idiot, but he's in charge. The person who's technically their underboss, but is actually doing all the work, which is played by Connie Booth in... oh, God, her name's out of my head. Penny.
Yes.
Yeah. So it's got really it doesn't try and recreate anything. Polly, sorry, yeah. It's absolutely simple. It doesn't try to be anything else, and it's beautiful. It's well paced. It's just I wanted to bring it up just because I absolutely love it, and I felt that it deserved to get discussion on a TV podcast. This show deserves to be talked about.
It does.
Yeah.
Ever remake this show, please.
No, I don't think they ever would. I mean, the closest they've got is they did a documentary.
I don't know, man. I see it's getting remade.
Which they called Fawlty Towers reopened, but it was just a documentary. I've actually been to the hotel where Fawlty Towers is based on, in Torquay. It's now been bulldozed, but it was there until a few years ago.
Yeah.
And it's almost as bad as the TV show. You would not believe. Seriously, not to embarrass my father on this show, but my dad and I were staying in the hotel because we were up in Torquay for something.
Yeah. I was about to say, did you stay?
Yes, we've stayed overnight in the hotel, but it had a swimming pool round the side, but it was very quiet. And me, my dad, his partner, and her son were the only people there. Like, literally no one else was in the hotel. So me and my partner's son were in the swimming pool, and we looked up, and my dad was sitting on the toilet. There's a full-length mirror next to the toilet, and he's sitting reading paper. It's one of the funniest things I've ever seen.
Oh my
Seriously,
God.
you couldn't have written it. It was just like, that's just wrong. Anyway, getting away from the subject, Fawlty Towers is rightly one of the best comedies across the world. There are very few things that even come close to being as good as Fawlty Towers is.
Yeah.
And I will fight anybody who tries to say differently.
No fights in this podcast this week by the looks of it.
Nope.
Well, we shall see. Okay, so yeah, thank you for letting me get that off my chest. My second one is a slightly different thing, and you may know this, you may not. It's a panel show. It's been defunct now for about 8 years, called Argumental.
Oh, Argumental.
Don't know if any of you know this.
Who's on it?
I absolutely adore this show. I haven't watched anywhere near enough of it, but everything I've seen about it, I've absolutely adored.
Well, I think I introduced you to it, quite possibly.
Yeah, probably.
Yeah, so it was hosted for the first 2 or 3 seasons by John Sargent.
Oh, okay.
But the team captains, you had a team captain on each side. One was Marcus Brigstock, the other was Rufus Hound.
Oh, Rufus Hound, now there's a guy. Ooh.
And this was kind of his big break, was this show. And they had one teammate with them. So Dara O'Brien appeared a few times. Sean Locke appeared a few times. He then took over hosting in the 4th season. And it's so basically the idea is you got 2 teams. They're given a whole load of subjects, and one team has to argue it for one side. The other team has to argue it for the other side.
Yeah.
And you've got different rounds. It's very simple. So the first round is like classic debate. So this house believes that women should be given the vote. Marcus Brigstock gets up and argues why women should be given the vote. Rufus Hand gets up and argues why they shouldn't. And then the audience vote on who gave the best argument or the funniest argument or whatever it is. They've all got panels. One of them's red, one of them's blue. So you've got the red team and the blue team, and the audience vote at the end of each one of these things for who wins. And that's how the points are awarded. One of the other rounds is really good, is where a person from one of the teams has to get up and has to talk on a subject, but the idea is they've got visual aids to help them. However, these visual aids, they don't know what's going to go up on the screen, and they haven't been told beforehand. or what their subject is going to be. So they have to be talking about how, I don't know, global warming is a bad thing, and then a granny on a motorcycle will show up, and they'll have to try and weave in why the granny on the motorcycle proves the point that whatever it is a bad thing or a good thing or whatever. And it's just, yeah. My favourite round of the lot is one called Flip Flop, where a person starts off arguing something in one direction, and when a buzzer sounds, has to completely switch their argument.
Oh my dude, that's mad.
So it's absolutely fantastic. There's jumping in. It's got a lot of touches of a radio show I love called I'm Sorry I Haven't a Clue. And that's why I love it, because they do things like that where it's just irreverent and it's just stupid. And you've got people making arguments for the worst kind of things. You know they don't believe it.
I'd love doing that. Imagine just making arguments off this.
Yeah. And so they've got they've got loads of little things. I mean, they've got Hugh Dennis, Charlie Higson, loads and loads of really good comedians actually appeared on this show.
Yeah.
And it's just, I think Frankie Boyle even made a few appearances on it.
Oh, no, Frankie Boyle. Oh, snap.
You could, it was, at least one series was done on Dave. A couple of them were done by the BBC. I don't know if you can get it on UK TV Play. You can definitely get all of them on YouTube.
Okay.
There is one absolute brilliant episode, I can't remember which number it is, where Rufus Hound has to argue that bodybuilders are wusses, whilst there's a bodybuilder standing in the middle of the room, and he has to stand next to him and argue that the man has a small penis, no brain, all these things. He absolutely lays it. It's the funniest thing on earth. And you can imagine Rufus Hound, the way he would have...
legend, bro. That guy's funny as heck.
Yeah. So it's absolutely top notch. So it's a silly show. I really wish they would bring it back because I think there's a place for it. I think you had to get, after a while, they did 4 seasons, one a year for 4 years, and then stopped. I think you could bring it back now and it wouldn't feel boring. If you'd kept doing it just as it was, I think you would have lost people. But now there's been a few years gap, I'd love to see it come back. Because it's such a simple format, but so much scope for young comedians, like properly unknown comedians, to really show what they can do. Or more famous comedians to come and have a bit of fun with it. Like Jimmy Carr was a real regular. And he was brilliant at it, because you know the kind of quick wit that he's got.
Yeah, definitely.
He's got a brain that's quick enough to flip-flop and argue these things and take up somebody else's argument and completely rip it to shreds and all that. It's so much fun.
Jimmy Carr was sad.
It's like I say, it's a silly panel show, but go and watch a couple of episodes on YouTube. It's just stupid fun. Yeah, I've got nothing else to say about it. I think everybody here will enjoy it. I know Dan was a reasonable fan of it in the past.
At one point, I wanted to go on it.
Yes, I do recall that. But yeah, so that's the show that I wanted to pick this week because, like I say, sometimes I pick really heavy stuff and things that require lots of in-depth analysis. This doesn't. It's fun. It's silly. And yeah, I've got nothing else to say other than I think every single person listening on this podcast, the 4 of us, would all would enjoy it. And I think most of the people who would listen to a podcast like ours would probably enjoy Argumental.
Yeah. Oh, I love it, man. Love it.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's me.
Okay. Thanks, Tom.
Go on, Tom.
No problem.
Such a nice podcast this week. No one's having a go at each other, isn't it?
And Q-Ben.
Exactly. Exactly.
Okay. So I want to talk about, I've got 2 shows. One of them I think will get a reaction from you. The other one will be maybe not. I'm just going to quickly talk about Pose Season 2 because, you know, I brought up Season 1 a couple of weeks ago. Just done Season 2. Obviously, it's from the creators of Glee, American Horror Story, Ratchet, which I really want to bring up one time when I finished it.
Show, by the way.
I don't think the guy writes these shows, Brian Murray. I think he just has the idea.
Well, Ryan
But
Murphy.
Hollywood as well is another one that seems to have done quite well this year. I'm just gonna. But so yeah, Pose Season 2. It's more of the same. It's now in the 90s. It's about transsexuals living, gay community living in New York. There's a lot of, this is the era of Madonna and Vogue and the explosion of, gay people coming into the mainstream a lot more.
Ben, I can't say Vogue without saying Vogue. Strike a pose. Come on now.
Vogue, strike a pose.
There we go.
And it's a bit more lighthearted.
One more time for the people trying to get a soundbite.
Yeah, go on, do it.
Lovely. This season's a lot more lighthearted this time. They've done a bit more. There is one character that passes away. Because last season there are a couple of characters that have obviously the nasty virus disease, AIDS and HIV, which means eventually, because it's the 90s, there's no cure for it here, that they're going to end up at some point they're going to end up pulling the cord basically on some of these characters in a couple of years. It's going to be sad, but we actually have a death. The funny thing is, though, we do get a whole episode dedicated to this character. And the funny thing is, each character stops to talk to them off on their own for 5 minutes. And it's really funny because this character comes back throughout the season. That's like a comedy character, like a haunting. It's quite funny. So it's a little bit more having fun with it now. Do you know what I mean? It's sure of itself now. It knows what it wants to be. You start to see at the end of the season a little bit of the lip sync and the drag race appeal starts to come in the 90s, where RuPaul would have started his career in the 90s. So you're beginning to see the concept of drag. And I just wanted to say it's still one of the best shows going in America. And I feel like I'm getting educated. I didn't know that transsexuals and drag queens do not get on so well. That was interesting to me. So I've been educating myself on that this week. Apparently, Drag Race fans and Pose fans do not get on. So, just respect each other's opinions. If you're listening to this and you'll find out both, just be nice to each other. We can all celebrate everything. And it's made me laugh. It's still written really well. And it has managed to sneak in a few Glee-style numbers. The music's really good. And, yeah, so that's Pose Season 2 continues its good form. But this is the one that I really want to talk about this week. How do I say this? Before I finish up on Pose, it does, because obviously this third season's been delayed due to COVID. So we don't know when it's returning, but it does that one thing that I love about a show. It has stuff that it can pick up, but it doesn't leave anything on a cliffhanger. So, how many shows have you seen, guys, where there's been a cliffhanger, you don't know the fate of a character, and then it doesn't get resolved? It's annoying, isn't it?
Yeah, obviously, yeah.
Absolutely. So thankfully, this show does end it. It's got room to go elsewhere. If it wants to come back, it will be coming back for a third season. But they've left themselves with, if it got cancelled tomorrow, if the Earth exploded tomorrow, at least I could die knowing, hey, there's no hanging plot threads from Pose. Yeah?
Which would be your main concern if the world ended tomorrow, obviously.
But, I hate unfinished shows.
Lives a charmed life.
Yeah, I live a charmed life. I don't have a lot of worries in life. But
so you live a charmed life, Ben. Okay, that's good.
But obviously, as Dan said earlier, I love the costumes. They got the 90s aesthetic down really well. It does feel like it's the 90s. It's incredible to see, because my knowledge of the culture has been filled in. As you know, I'm a Drag Race fan as well. So it's been interesting to see all that. And so that's that. That's my fashion tips for this season. Also, I wanted to talk about an old favourite. I'm like Dan. I want to bring up an old favourite. It's a British ITV show. And we've talked about the Crystal Maze. There was another game show that I want to talk about. It's called Knightmare.
Oh my God, Knightmare.
You guys remember this? Treyguard.
The guy had the potty put on his head and had to be directed around by other people.
Yeah. So basically, it's a British TV show from the 80s, early 90s, late 80s, early 90s. It's a game show, as Tom so helpfully just said, where they put a helmet on a person's face. It's a team of 4, and there's a virtual dungeon. They use green screens and actors, and they have to guide the blinded person through the dungeon to get through 3 levels to win the game. And it is hilarious because obviously they can't see, and they're guided by the dungeon master Treguard. And the elf, I don't know who the elf is. Bollocks. But he was really annoying.
He was incredibly annoying.
I really like Treguard.
Dungeon Master, though.
Yeah, but what I've noticed rewatching it is Treguard always offering hints to the kids.
Yes.
He gives them
That's one of the
I
reasons I
didn't
liked
pick up on this when I was younger. And it's really nerve-wracking, actually, because it's really hard for them to guide the guy because he can't see. It's got a bit of a cult following in America, apparently. They know what it is. There's a Knightmare live experience happening at the moment. I want to go with you guys, like the Crystal Maze one day. I just want to take you guys. And you get to keep a DVD of it. They film it like a proper Knightmare show. So one of us would have to be in the middle, getting directions from the other 3. We have to do that one day. So, but anyway,
Pickle the Elf was played by David Lerner.
he's even got a prickish name. Dear God.
He also voiced Marvin the Paranoid Android in the Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy TV show.
That's why I wanted to slap Marvin. It's a good game show. It's a bit weird. The acting can be a bit off. It's a bit pantomime, but it's charm. It's got a lot of charm to it. The jester I want to drop kick into a fiery inferno.
Fiery inferno.
They are dicks. They can be real dicks sometimes, the producers, because they just screwed them over. The bomb room. There's always like a bomb room where they got like about 20 seconds to get the guy out of the bomb room. They have to go sidestep left, sidestep right, go forward.
You always knew which kids they thought were pricks by how difficult the levels were.
Yeah.
Yeah. If they were cocky shits, they were going down. But if they were like well adjusted, they would give them plenty of opportunities.
Precisely.
Later seasons, they did first when they go through doors, they started to use outdoor scenes to transition to the next bit. Did you guys ever, when I was a child, I found these bits very scary because it's all dark and a black door. Did anyone ever find the show scary? Because some of the architecture was a bit scary.
No, never. I was a horror kid, so I'm fine with it.
I don't remember ever being scared of it. No.
Never. No.
I remember being really frustrated.
Especially when they paused them. And I always like going against. There's a wall monster, normally on level 1, and they always try to do the riddles, and they were fun to try and guess.
Yes.
There are some people. There's been times when, like, collapsing platforms. There's that famous bit where the kid went right to the left and completely just bottled it and fell off. Yeah, it's really good, and there is some bits where it's quite violent, like saws and stuff, and it's the jester's annoying. Some of the actors are annoying. There was a YouTube version a couple of years ago with Emma Blackberry, Ashins, Jacksepticeye, and who else? I can't remember. Some British YouTubers, basically. And you can imagine the amount of snark that Ashins and Emma Blackberry would give them. They told Treguard to basically F off at one point. You should go watch that. I hope it comes back because they could do a lot with the graphics now.
Yeah, but part of the joy of it was that it was crap graphics.
Exactly.
That's part of the beauty of it.
The old 8-bit graphics.
I mean,
I think both points stand though, because you could bring it back now and you could do some cool stuff with the graphics and still have a lot of the charm there, but it would be different. It would be a different television show,
Exactly.
but it would be the same brand.
Yeah, because I've brought up. I think Dan, you weren't here when I brought up Games Master, but lately I've just realised what a golden era I lived in growing up. as a child. Knightmare, I would come home every week to watch it. It was like appointment television.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I wasn't missing Knightmare. If Grange Hill and Biker Grove were on the other side, I would just watch Knightmare. I would block out Biker Grove and Grange Hill because Knightmare would be my instant watch, and my family would be told to leave me alone for like half an hour. If you interrupted me, you would have food thrown at you. Whatever I had.
Nice to know you were always a reasonable human being, Ben.
A few shows that I would just want quiet on. This is before.
I mean, it's not really a compliment to say I'm not surprised, but I'm not surprised.
Back in that day, you couldn't pause stuff. You had to watch it live. If people talked, that was it. You lost it. Like, there was only a couple of shows I did it for. Knightmare came after Crystal Maze. If you interrupted me on those shows, you're going to get a remote control aimed at your head. And I've apologized to my family numerous times. And a few friends. I never threw it hard enough. I just threw it very gently. Like a half-assed throw. Even back then, I wasn't an arsehole. But the theme tune's good. And yeah, please bring it back. And one day we will do a video thing for YouTube of us going to do the live action one. And we'll put the DVD up on our personal DVD up on our YouTube channel.
I told you there's a you can play the Crystal Maze in Central London now, didn't I?
Yes, and we will do it once COVID's done. I will do it with you guys. That is the team of 4. We could bring Sammy and someone else for the team of 6 for Crystal Maze.
Yeah.
Sam and someone else. I know someone actually. I can bring someone. He's a fan of the show, Jordan. If you're listening, hello there. Me and Tom say hello.
Hey, Jordan.
Yeah. Number 1 fan for my job. Yeah. So. Yeah, we could. There's your team of 6, but we'll do that one day. Anyway, that's me done. Lovely. Yeah.
All right.
So Tom,
that's us then.
I want to mention one thing before we completely sign off.
Yeah, sure,
Just
Tom.
exactly what my immediate plans are after this, because it's not a TV thing, really. It was aired on television a while ago.
Yeah.
But it's like a single 45-minute standalone that was part of something called the Jim Henson Hour. You guys know I'm a massive Jim Henson fan.
Yes.
Yeah.
And the introduction to this was just Jim Henson having a talk with people, talking about the Creature Shop, showing some of the work that gets done on things like the Storyteller and all sorts of things. Then he introduces this show called Monster Maker. It's like a short film.
Okay.
Has anyone ever heard of it?
No. Monster Maker. Nah, I may have seen, but I don't think I recall.
Completely hidden gem. Teenager Matt Banting wants to work with a famous but eccentric creature FX man, but gets more than he bargained for when one of the creatures, a giant dragon-like Ultra Gorgon, comes to life and takes Matt under his wing. Matt is forced to confront his inner monsters while working out his issues with his father. It's real sort of coming of age. It's a bit of a tearjerker. It's a bit fantastical. It's everything the Creature Workshop does well. And I managed to get myself a copy.
Nice.
Okay.
And the thing which is the most standout about this whole thing is the actual monster and the way the monster is portrayed by Michael Gambon.
Oh, Dumbledore.
Okay.
Dumbledore number 2, right? Yeah.
This is shades of. Oh, you see, there's a character here that was also used somewhere else.
Okay.
If anyone ever gets a chance to have a view of it, this is exactly what I'm going to be doing with my evening. But
Well, bring it back next week then, because it sounds like something we can listen to.
Love it.
Tom, Tell them how they can send all their complaints about what I said this week. Tell them where to do that.
You can send all of your complaints to square-eyed syndrome 2020 at gmail.com.
Okay.
With subject head, I am a Ben bully.
I am a Ben.
Also, do spread the word. Please do subscribe. Please do hit the notification button if you're listening on YouTube. Please do put us on in the background whenever your friends are around on fairly low level, whenever you have to go off and have a shit.
If we get lots of female fans, we might start doing a topless calendar for you. No, I'm joking, we're not doing that. No,
Ben. No. If you want to do a topless calendar for our female fans,
it will sell about 2 copies.
then we will stop having female fans. But
But anyway, so it's goodbye from me.
Bye from me.
Apart from me.
And goodbye from me.
And we'll be back next week for Black Mirror. I hope you're all ready for that. Anyway, so have a good evening. Bye.
All right.